Hi, I saw this picture this in a wall yesterday in Exeter, and I thought it quite aptly describes how I feel today. Anyway, I've had a quick look at Sweeney Agonistes, which I think was meant to be part of a play, and the prologue fragment is the one that I looked at. So, pays the rent is repeated a few times, and I wonder if that relates to, I think it's the Ren name in Egypt, and they're referring to somebody called Pereira, which is of Portuguese origin. It means pear tree and is associated with the Jewish diaspora. I wondered if there's a link there with Chaucer's Merchant's Tale. So the female says, I must have some of these pears that I see. Then they go on to mention cutting the cards for tonight. They refer to like a normal pack of cards, but I'm thinking, is this an allusion to the tarot? So they refer to the King of Clubs as being possibly Pereira, but could also be Sweeney, which would be Hercules. I think he holds a club. They then talk about the Four of Diamonds, which could be the Four of Pentacles. They say a small sum of money, but the pictorial key of the tarot mentions perhaps a legacy. It mentions a 3, but not a suit, and says this relates to news of an absent friend, but that could be a reference to Newt. Somebody's always absent. And then he emphasises you have to think when you read the cards, which is repeated a fair bit in a game of chess. So think is associated with connecting with the higher self. It's a word. I can't work out what he's alluding to, but it's connecting to the intuition in some way. They say a 6 comes next, a quarrel or estrangement. Then the 2 of spades, that's the coffin, which could relate to burial of the dead in the wasteland. And I've mentioned several times, QRST. The image on the card is a female sat blindfolded on a chair holding 2 swords in a V shape. So associating a coffin with the V, presumably the vagina. Doris then says she dreamt of weddings all last night, so there's an allusion between the wedding ceremony, union, death, rebirth. Dusty then draws the page or knave of spades / swords. Doris says it might be snow, which could relate to the white powder, philosopher's stone. Or I was thinking of a name used to refer to a bastard. That's in Game of Thrones. I don't know if it was taken from elsewhere. In Norman England, this was represented with the word Fitz, and or to refer to a maternal line such as the Fitz Empress. The Empress being another tarot card, but that's a sidetrack. Dusty then draws the Knave of Hearts / Cups, which are the images of fish rising from the cup, fish being allusion to the Fisher King and also Christ, the Fisher of Men. Doris then hears a lot of knocking, which could associate with Our Lady of Knock, as in Mary. And then there's several references to London being a little bit too gay. Gay as in happy, presumably. I haven't gone through the second one yet, but there's a lot of references to hoo-ha at the end, which could be another reference to an Egyptian god in who, as in who cares, which is what they start the play talking about, and also what I'm thinking right now. I think that's enough for me. I'll do my best to come back tomorrow, but cannot make any promises.